And I'm Austin Morales, and you're watching The Inner Gamer On.
And today on The Inner Gamer, we are talking all about the PlayStation 5. We are looking into the console, the controller, and the headset. All about the hardware today. We are very excited. This thing is super ass heavy, and we can't wait to show you and talk more about it right here.
That's right. And if you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and bang that bell, because you want to do it for the PlayStation love. The oh so sweet PlayStation love.
So the PlayStation 5, we have it. We unboxed it. If y'all follow our Instagram channel, you can go check out. Was it a story you did, or was it an IGTV?
It was IGTV.
Okay, so there's a video on Instagram of Austin unboxing it. You were scaring me when you're unboxing that thing, by the way. You're like holding everything with like one hand with the camera in the other hand. I was like, oh gosh, don't drop it. Don't drop it. I was like,
it was very nervous. It was rough.
Yeah.
I was like, I should have pre-unboxed it so I could just unbox it easier.
Yeah. No,
didn't work out that way. With it. I was throwing stuff everywhere. I mean, I think I just let the PlayStation drop on the couch.
You did. I was like, what is wrong with you? Then your freaking cat's like rolling around on the thing. I was like, oh gosh, he's gonna hit the freaking thing.
It's beefy.
It was funny.
It could take it.
Yeah. And that is the key word right there. This console is beefy as shit. Fuck. This, that, whatever. All the swear words. It is so big. And I knew it was gonna be big, but I didn't think, like, looking at it visually, like the weight was kind of what really shocked me, is just how heavy I think it weighs like 17 pounds, I believe I read. 15 to 17 pounds, something like that. Maybe I might be making that up, but it's like 2 or 3 pounds heavier than the Xbox Series X.
Interesting.
So it's a heavy machine.
That's interesting.
And
I didn't think it was that big. I thought it was going to be bigger, because when they put that one guy from PlayStation, when he took it apart, that thing looked like pounds. It was.
It's 10 pounds.
Okay,
sorry.
That thing looked like it was half of his body.
Yeah.
When they did the teardown on the PlayStation. Official video.
I mean, it's definitely
huge.
It definitely commands your attention in a console. And I know a lot of people are worried about, like, will it fit on my console and stuff like that. I was shocked that it fit way better than I thought. It actually has about the same space that it takes up as the original Xbox One, Xbox One. So if anybody got the original Xbox One, it takes up roughly the same form factor shape.
I thought that was huge.
Yeah, no, this is bigger, because I pulled my Xbox One out that I have, the Halo edition or whatever, and then put this one in there, and this one is bigger. It's a little bit wider, a little bit taller. So, but it fit. I mean, it fit underneath my console, so it's. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think it's like 6 inches tall, something like that. So it's 4 inches actually. 4 inches. So 15 by 10 by 4. So it's about 4 inches tall. But when it has a stand on it, I think it might raise it up a little bit, because it does. So the thing with this one, as everybody's seen the PlayStation 5 console probably at this point, it is a very unique design. There is no like flat edge to this unless you like stand it upright, and even that you're required to have the base on it. I think to make it like super lay flat, but it's like 3 pieces. So like the panels actually are like stuck to the side, and I saw a video with Young he did a video of him like removing the panels, showing how easy it is to take the panels on and off. So that was kind of cool to see how they could be detachable and they could provide new faceplates, even though they've shut people down on that, making third-party faceplates. But I could see them like doing official faceplates at some point, and you just swap out the faceplate instead. But
you could just do a 3D faceplate and then paint whatever you want on it.
It's true, you could. I bet you there's gonna be people that are gonna do that. They're gonna start like to do case mod, PC case mods. They're gonna start doing that with these faceplates, because it's so easy to take them off. And they're just plastic. So
you could just paint over them and do your own faceplate.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a really cool looking thing. Like it's so just, I've never seen anything like it. Like I'm looking at people with the Xbox Series X underneath the thing, and it's just this like rectangular box.
Yeah.
That just like sits there, and
not interesting at all.
People like the design of it, I guess. I mean, it's a box. It's functional, and that's what it's there for. But like this one is just, it it's a looker. Like when you're looking at, I mean, you look at under that console, there's no more just like black everything underneath there. It's like this thing just like, hey, look at me. I'm the big ass PlayStation 5 console and I glow around the edge and I make a presence and I'm quiet. That's also a big thing about it. It isn't very loud.
No, not at all. It is quite amazing. So unlike you, I had to actually change out my stand I was using for my PlayStation 4 Pro. It just would not fit. You know what? It might have fit if I adjusted it, but so basically, I've had this little night table that I wasn't using.
Yeah,
and it fit on the first because like the top, the middle shelf, and bottom shelf. I put it in the middle shelf, and the PlayStation 4 has it has a decent amount of room for play to like shift it around how I want it in there. But I had to take what I used to put my shoes on, and that is now where my PlayStation sits. I had to move that over to where by my TV.
Yeah,
and take so the shoes are just on the ground now, and this thing has taken over.
So did you set it up vertically or horizontally?
Horizontally.
Yeah, I was kind of wanting. I can't fit it on my console unless I put it on the floor. I can't make it vertical. I would kind of like to have it vertical because I think it would look pretty cool that way. Yeah. And I think it'd be easier. One thing I think is weird is like the disc drive. You can't really. I don't know if I'm putting the disc in. It's the same problem I had with the original one. It's like you don't know where remember the PlayStation 4 Pro. You couldn't see the slot.
Yeah, you didn't know where it was.
Black, and it
I was putting it all over the place.
Yeah, I was like, which like entry point do I put it in there? With this one, like because it's the disc drive is kind of inset underneath the way like the design in the front kind of wraps around. Like I don't see the disc drive slot, so I'm just like, okay, I hope I'm pushing the right place. Unless I like get on my because I have it on my lower shelf, so I have to like get on the floor to see.
But because your sound bar is on your middle shelf,
right? So it was a little bit of a struggle there, but it wasn't bad. I mean, I was able to stick it in there pretty well, and I like the fact that it's much more easier to access the back than it was before. It's a flat back. It's not that curved bullshit that they had on the PS4 Pro and the PS4. Like they were both, it was done the way they did that. And I'm shocked that there's no like brick for this console. Like, and it's a 2-prong. Like, it's not even like a 3-prong or anything like that. It's just a single plug.
Much power?
Yeah, it's crazy,
man.
So, but it's
the
definitely
bricks must be inside.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I have no idea. But.
Well, there's that teardown that we talked about on the previous podcast. Right. Where they pulled it apart. Most of it's just a giant ass heatsink.
That's true.
But I guess it doesn't need that much power. I don't know. It's just shocking.
I don't know either. There's just no way. I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
I have a 1080. That thing takes up almost all my power. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, so let's talk about the controller a little bit. So we have the new DualSense controller that is available wireless as always, and it is different, a little bit different. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker, form factor and stuff like that. How do you feel about it?
I think the weight is one of the better things about it.
Yep.
So I thought the PlayStation 4 controller was too light, and then for some reason they have increased the handles, not by much, but it's enough for my hands don't feel fatigued. Because when I grip the PlayStation 4 controller, they feel fatigued. Like it's just I have to clamp down more than my body wants to in order to play, and that's why I don't have a problem with the Xbox controller because it kind of has that lets my hand sit the way it should. Yeah, like in it. Yeah, and it feels good, and it's not too small, but it's not too big. And I think, the PlayStation 5 controller, I feel like it's better than this form factor wise than the Xbox controller, Xbox One controller. Yeah, I haven't quite decided yet. Like I really like the feel, the weight of it. I think it's good. I mean, it's like it's heavier, but I think that's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. And I think the bigger form factor is pretty solid. I still kind of like the Xbox controller with the not symmetrical joysticks, with the other joystick being on the top and the other one being on the bottom. I kind of like that feel, but I mean, I'm so used to on PlayStation, it's not that big of a deal. But it is kind of like I appreciate that about the Xbox controller. But otherwise, I think with this one,
I like that the start and the share button kind of jet out of the controller a little bit now. Like, yeah, it feels like a button. It's not just like flush inside there, so I don't have to look down to like figure out what I'm touching. The touchpad's still there, which is cool. They removed the texture off the touchpad though, which I thought was interesting, which I don't mind.
Oh yeah,
but there's not like a texture on it anymore, and I do like the texture that wraps around the controller with the little, like we've talked about this before, but on the PlayStation controller and on the PlayStation console itself, on the inside of the faceplates, there's a little pattern, and it's a pattern of the cross, the circle, the triangle, and the square. And it's just a bunch of those little shapes repeated all throughout it to make a texture that you can put your hand on that's got a little bit of a coarse feel to it. Yeah. But it looks really cool, and it feels good on the controller and the back of the grip. But I also noticed that there's just a subtle detail, but there's the texture is wrapped around the grips, but then as it goes towards the back of the controller, there's like a gradual fade to smooth. Like that plate goes from like texture to smooth when it gets to the back center of the controller. And I was looking at it, I was like, is there like a hard line here? But no, it's like literally like they did a gradation of the texture on the controller.
I don't know how they did that.
Subtle little detail, but it was just such a neat feature. I mean, it feels like a expensive controller. It doesn't feel like it's super cheap.
Well, it looks sexy, I'll tell you that. Like those, I don't even know what to call it, like iced buttons.
Right.
It's just white. Dude, that's sexy.
Yeah.
Like, I love that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks really good. It's got a built-in mic, which doesn't sound terrible. Like, we tried it. It doesn't sound too bad. You just can't hear much coming out of the microphone.
Yeah. There might be a way to turn it up, but I doubt it.
I bet you could probably... I mean, there is a way to turn it up. I was able to turn it up, but still turned up all the way wasn't enough. But I wonder if you can output that audio to the TV somehow. There might be a way to do that.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah. That would make more sense.
Yeah. But one quality of life feature that I think is amazing is there's a mute button on your mic, on your controller now. Whether you have a headset plugged in or not, you can just click a button to mute yourself. And I love that. Like, I've been wanting that so bad because it's a pain in the ass to mute on the PS4 Pro. And this one, now we have a mute button, and it's magical.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember on the PlayStation 4, when you looked at the battery, didn't it have 4 bars on the battery for PlayStation 4?
No, it was 3.
For the controller? It was it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Never mind that.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had 4 bars.
Null and void. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice.
I don't know if that's a representation or how close representation that is, because I prefer 4. Yeah. Then, I feel like it's more accurate.
Percent increments, yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, the difference between like 2 and 3 is huge. Or 1 and 2. Like, if you have like 1 bar, like you don't know how much you got left. 2 bars, like whatever. But I don't know what the battery life is on this yet, but I've heard from people who have played with it longer than we have is that the battery life is a little bit better. And I actually thought the battery life on the PlayStation 4 Pro wasn't bad. I mean, I could get 4 or 5 hours of gameplay with headsets plugged in easily, and I shouldn't be playing more than that anyway.
Right.
So it's but I always have 2 controllers charging at any time. So if one does die and I'm still playing, I can switch to the other one pretty easily.
I don't have that right now. I probably should have bought another controller.
Yeah. I was glad I did that, and I also needed a charging dock because I hate having to plug it into the thing.
Oh, that's another thing I didn't mention. Because I wanted to get the media remote for the PlayStation because it looks cool, and I think half the time, well, I don't know about so much now, but before, half the time, I wouldn't even, I was just streaming stuff on it.
Yeah.
So it's like using the controller is so unintuitive, I feel like.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, can I get this? And the GameStop guy was like, oh, we don't have any peripherals whatsoever. Like day one, they just literally stopped giving them out and selling them because there wasn't enough to go around. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like 2020 has screwed us over in more ways than one, man. Like I can't get a media remote. Are you kidding me?
I'm actually surprised about that would be, they're just not making a lot of them, I guess, like they're.
Well, in general, like across the board, you can't get hardly any of this stuff. I'm just like, damn. I need to go tell my friend I need to get that extra remote, that controller from him.
So headset, you got the new headset.
I did. I was really looking forward to it. And, they have that new 3D audio. So I was like, sweet. I want to hear what this is all about. And my friend, I guess this came with a bundle or he bought a second one. I forgot which. And I was like, yeah, I'll buy it from you. So I got it. And out of the box is very light. It kind of like the ear cups resemble sort of like the original wireless PlayStation headset. I feel like the design is similar in the way that the intuitiveness and the light, like it's very light and it looks clean for, obviously the PlayStation 1 fit with PlayStation 4 headset fit very well with the PlayStation 4, and then this one fits very well with the PlayStation 5. I put it on, and I mean, you could tell it's on, but you can hardly there's no like this thing. Like I know I have my computer headset on.
Yeah,
like it's just heavy. The band that I have, it has a lot of give, and it sits on my ears funky after a while. Like I have to rearrange my computer headset more often than not to make it more comfortable. Well, that one, it sits firm on your head. It stretches out a little bit because to fit your size. I think because it also has like a interesting rubber kind of band, and I think there's a little bit of movement that it can play with there, but I'm not 100% sure because I'm trying to figure out how it's made, and it just looks like it's just glued on there or whatever.
Yeah,
but I think it does move a little bit. The audio is not too bad. I think most of the time the audio is fine, but once it gets to like the high action packed scenes and stuff, when I was playing a Miles Morales, like it didn't play, or the audio kind of felt like it was smushing together. I think that's the best way I can come up with explanation. But I was surprised that the bass sounds pretty good in that. Usually the bass on wireless headsets are not the best, in my opinion. The highs sound pretty good. The lows sound pretty good. It's just, I think, I tried it with the 3D audio, and I think it sounded good, but I wasn't impressed. Obviously it's a wireless headset. I don't think this is for everyone. Like if you really want high end audio, you probably don't want this, but I mean, if you're just a casual gamer and you want a wireless headset, I think this gets the job done. We tested out the mic, and it was okay. Like you can hear my audio on the stream we did, or that I did, but I wasn't impressed by it.
Yeah.
What did you think about my audio, Brett?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, you sounded way better when you put in your other headset.
Yeah.
But it definitely was. It was good. I mean, it was. Yeah. I think I mean, it's not really a budget headset, but it kind of is in that vein. I mean, it was like under $100, right? I still feel like it's a little expensive, I think, for what it is. Knowing what it sounded like. Because I know your headset your headset sounds really good, other than it picking up your breath. But it sounds really good. And this one was definitely noticeably lesser quality. So
let me see if I can find it online. 3D audio headset. Okay. Yeah, and the noise cancellation is really good too.
Oh, that's good.
Like I really enjoy that. Well, let me buy it. It is $100.
99.
Yeah, $99.99.
Yeah. Huh.
I think it should be 75 or less.
Yeah. I think that makes more sense.
For the style, it looks great. And mostly the audio is pretty okay. The features, the buttons that it has are really awesome. Like on the front, you have the on and off, and on the back, you have. I think the original PlayStation 4 headset had this too, where you can adjust audio for in-game and chat, and then obviously you can turn your mic on and off, and then on the headset along with the controller, which is cool. So it's all right there.
Nice.
I mean, I like it. It should be cheaper, but no, it's PlayStation.
And then, so then a DualSense controller with the haptic feedback. Got to talk about that a little bit, because one of the things that they talked about with the haptic feedback in this controller is that it will have, for one, instead of like a single vibration sensation on the controller, there is meant to be this feeling of different tensions and vibrations and things that will make it feel more immersive as you're playing through the game. And then the triggers are supposed to have like tension to them. So like when you're, one of the big examples they use is like you're pulling back a bow, as you're pushing down the button to like pull the bow back, you start to feel that in the controller. I'm anxious to play Ghost of Tsushima to see if that comes through. But
interesting.
Swinging around in Spider-Man, I didn't really notice a lot of tension. I mean, there was some tension there, but I didn't really notice as like me just beyond me just pressing a button. you know, that swings. But I did notice physically when you hold the button down, there's like a point where it just continues to push like seamlessly, and then it gets to a point where there's like a little bit of a tension that switches into where it's a little bit harder when you get down to like the last like 10% of clicking into being fully clicked in. There is a little bit of a tension there that's like physically built in the hardware. Yeah. So I don't know if that's like the trigger mechanic or what.
Yeah. I didn't notice any of the trigger stuff, but I did notice the haptic feedback like immediately when Miles Morales started.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it just, you have the rumble from the PlayStation 4 and it feels fine and gets you immersed, but this is like you can feel it all over the controller. And like as he walks past cars and stuff like that, you know, you can feel it. Like,
yeah,
it definitely immersed me early on, but I think that's the only. I mean, talking about it, that's like the only thing I really remember. Like going into it, I think it does immerse me a little more in some of these more action-packed moments, but I think it's going to be an afterthought in the sense that it's going to feel like it should, and it's going to immerse us in those moments. But I don't think it's going to be those things like, oh, did you feel the haptic feedback when this moment happened? Like it just felt so real. I think it's going to be more of like, well, I think it's how it should be. Is you're going to be like, there's this moment and it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't know what they really want, but I mean, I feel like I'm just going to forget about this haptic feedback eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I think I tend to agree with that mostly because it was cool to feel the different sensations of like when you're on the subway. There was parts where you could feel like as the subway was coming to a stop, like you felt different tensions based on like when it hit some turbulence, like, you know, like a rough patch of the rail and all that stuff. Like there was different sensations. So it's kind of like how, you know, sound is so important in games. They were able to combine sound and physical feeling to kind of add a little bit of a heightened experience, I guess, to it. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it's a cool feature, but it's not a must-have feature, I don't think. And I've heard mixed things about it from other people. I've heard some people say like this is the best controller ever. Which it is, I think, just from like the feeling of it. I'm still not completely sold on how I hold it. Like I don't know if I like like it as much as some of my other controllers, but I do like it. There's nothing wrong with it. But the haptic part of it is cool, but I don't know if it's like a game changer experience yet.
Right.
So
yeah,